Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Omar, and I am back with another video for you guys. So it is July 28th, and I hope y'all are having a good summer so far. What I want to do today is that I want to talk about some of the struggles, some of the issues as far as the dating scene for Christian men and women. I'm subscribed to a couple of YouTube channels. One of them being the Christian Faith. Shout out to David and Mallory. Another one is Braden Steckler, who kind of talks about the issues as far as the dating scene among Christian singles. And so I came across a few videos as well as some other videos on YouTube, and I noticed that many of the single Christian women uh, are very vocal about the struggles and the issues on the dating scene. But I haven't came across too many videos where there's a single man's perspective. So that's what I want to give you guys today is that based on my experience, I want to kind of give a talk discuss some of the issues and the struggles that come with the Christian dating scene. I've been a member of the Body of Christ, the Church of Christ, for close to 15 years now, and this is consistently, this is faithfully, this is not no, oh, I'm gonna take a year off, or I was at a period where I was in and out. None of that. This is just consistently for close to 15 years. And the thing is that you paying attention, you tend to see a lot as far as folks' behavior, and that ought to give you a perspective of how people behave, whether it be people that's in the church or people that's in the world. So today, what I want to do is that I want to discuss some of the struggles and issues that's going on with the single women in the church, some of the struggles and issues that's going on with the single men in the church. And then I also want to close the video out by giving by sharing some of the experience that I've had as far as meeting the different women in the dating scene from a Christian single standpoint. So for the first thing I want to touch on is from what I observe, a lot of the issues that's going on with the single women. So number one, the first issue, and they have made this abundantly clear, is that there's not enough men in the church. Women, as you know, as I know, as anybody else would know, that women outnumber men by a long shot in the church, and that seems to be everywhere we go. In college, in some cases, the workforce, especially in the corporate environment, but definitely inside of the church, the Lord's church at that, the women outnumber the men. So from their perspective, it's almost as if like there's not enough prospects to go around. It's already hard enough for them to find good men, let alone that it seems like the good men tends to be dwindling down. And so not everybody is going to have the opportunity to snag them a man of faith as their husband, as a potential father to their children, and things like that. So that's the first issue. The second issue that I want to address as it pertains to the single women is that a lot of their upbringing has a lot to do with their dating choices. We would like to think that people in the church, that they come from a two-parent household. They was raised in uh, they was raised in a Christian household. They got all these morals and these values, but that's not the case. A lot of these single women, they come from a single parent household. Whether the father passed away at a young age while they was growing up, or the father just simply up and left, or their mother may have never even got married and had them out of wedlock. So a lot of things So as they are coming up in this world, they already have that hole, that void that's in their heart that need to be filled. There's already some type of trauma that they've experienced just from their upbringing alone, with the man not there. Now, that's not to discredit the mother. The mother most more than likely did an amazing job raising them, the grandmother or whoever that decide to take care of that role. But they're going to always have that emotional void, those daddy issues, that hole in their heart that needs to be filled. So not all of them come from a good background, as I say, like a steady foundation is a better way to put things. So that's going to influence their dating choices to a certain degree. Another issue that I come across is that some of the women have made poor dating choices as far as who they choose to mate with or who they choose to procreate with. Because I just mentioned about as far as their upbringing, the father not being in the household, and there's a number of reasons why that he wasn't there. And so that influences their dating choices because not all of them know what a good man is. Not all of them know what to look for in a potential husband. You see what I'm saying? Not all of them have if you want to say a circle of male friends in their group that they can go to for advice. So a lot of them, you would think that all of them save themselves for marriage from a sexual standpoint, and they're just looking for the right guy. Not all of them did that. A lot of them did not. A lot of them gave up their virginity at a young age. A lot of them end up having a child or two out of wedlock by somebody that, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't a good fit for them. And so they didn't make good choices dating wise to begin with. So with that being said, they already have a jaded or a tainted point of view from a dating standpoint, because they figured that the last two guys that they was no good. So they think that, well, majority, if not all men are no good. Majority of all men are dogs, whether they're in the church or not. So that's the third thing. The last thing I want to say is that you'll be surprised that some of the Christian women are a little bit, what's the word that I want to use? Socially awkward. So some of them, as much as they may not be afraid, they may be afraid to admit it, but some of them are socially awkward. And this is some stuff that I have seen personally. I had a privilege of going to some single seminars in the past where you have singles from all over the country, gather over the weekend at one of the cities that one of the congregations that will host the event. And there are times where you get a chance to meet, to mingle with other singles, and some of these women, they just want to rather talk to themselves or be by themselves instead of getting to know some of the other men that are there. And so you may think, is that because of shyness? Is that because they may be socially awkward? Is it because they don't know what to say? They don't know how to approach a conversation? They don't know actually how to approach a guy just from a friendly point of view. So there are many things that these women are struggling with, and we was actually able to touch on some of those things at the last single seminar that I attended, and I'm gonna dive deeper into that in another video. So those are some of the issues that's going on with the single women that are inside of the church. Now, here's some of the issues that's going on with the single men. Number one, like I said, there's not enough men in the church. Think about it. Our community need more need more godly husbands, need more godly fathers, need more godly or upstanding men in the community from a leadership perspective. So If they're not in the church, where are we going to get these type of men from? You ever thought about that? Those who want a great father, a great husband, a upstanding person in the community, where are you going to get them from? Are you going to get them from the streets? Are you going to get them from the club? So, so I don't know what it is about us. I guess it's a pride or ego thing to a point where we think that we can just live this life and don't need God's help at all. And we've seen stuff that goes on in our families, things that's going on in the community, all these things as it pertains to people making these mistakes, these generational curses. And I guess we feel as though we don't need God's help at all when we need all the help that we can get from God. And the more of us that kind of shows up to the forefront from that perspective, then a lot of these other issues is going to be solved. But it starts on the home front first. It starts with us. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I see is that I'm not going to say all, but I'm going to say some of us that are in the church, we are not assertive. We are not assertive. I guess it kind of it goes back to that whole thing I was talking about being socially awkward. Like I said, there are single women that are socially awkward that may not want to admit that. There are some men that are socially awkward. There are some men who don't have an ounce of assertiveness in them. So if a woman happened to be giving them signals, they wouldn't jump on that opportunity. And even if a woman is not giving you signals as a man, it's almost in you to want to go up to a woman and introduce yourself and just kind of see where things progress from there, to where you may want to ask for a number, ask her out for a date, or to see if she wants to be exclusive. But a lot of men are not stepping up to the plate when it comes to that. And not only in that, but that kind of carries over to other aspects in your life, to where you're more passive than you are assertive, whether it be at the job, whether it be in your community, things like that. If you're passive there, you're passive in other areas in your life. And one thing about being passive is that things tend to be delayed and things tend to not get done. So if more men actually start stepping up and being men and being the leaders that we need to be, you will see that there's going to be a shift as far as the mentality and the mindset of the single men that's in the church. The third problem or struggle that I want to touch on is that you have these single men who I would say who come to the church for the wrong reasons. The whole purpose of having relationship of being baptized is that, for one, to have your sins removed, become a new creature in Christ, and that way that you can start learning those principles that you need to live this life and how it's going to help you develop as a man overall. Now, if I was to tell you that is that the if that's the mindset of every person, every man who gets baptized, I'll be lying to you, because that's not the purpose. You have some men come into it with a predatory mindset, to where they already know that there's way more women than there is men. So they come with a mindset where they can just prey on these single women. So you have men who literally come there like a wolf in sheep's clothing. They're not there to develop themselves personally. They're not there to develop themselves spiritually. They're just in there just to camouflage and blend in for a minute. And then the moment that they get what they want from these women, then they're gone. And we don't even see them again. So those are just some things that I've personally seen as far as some of the issues and the struggles that's going on in the singles dating scene. Now, before I end this video, I kind of want to discuss, my experience from a single man's perspective. So, like I said, I've been a member for close to 15 years. Right? Never been married, no children, and so some of the things that I've kind of experienced. Number one, it seems as though, and you guys can let me know if this happened to you. I tend to get complimented from mothers, grandmothers, and aunties that are in the church. Women that are 15, 20 years my age, that's twice my age, even more than twice, three times my age, are the ones that seem to be giving me compliments on my appearance, how I look, my personality, and things like that. I would rarely, if that, get a compliment from the women that's around my age, especially those single women. So I don't know from a mentality standpoint if they feel as though if they compliment a man, especially somebody that they see on a regular basis, if that's too forward, if that's something that's frowned upon or anything like that. But I find that kind of interesting that I tend to get compliments with from my physical appearance as well as my personality or some of the things I'm good at from women that are a lot older as it compares to women that are my age. The second thing is that I noticed that there's certain women who I was interested in that attended the same congregation. One in particular, I remember that after we exchanged numbers, this was happened to be like in my early 20s. I was about 23, 24. After we exchanged numbers, it seemed as though I would have to pull teeth in order to get a date from her. I would call, I would set up a date or time, and she always seemed to have some type of excuse, but would never offer a suggestion. Oh, I can't meet up on this night because I got this going on. How about this day and time? Does that work for you? So I kind of got to the point where the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. If I gotta just have to pull teeth just to get a date with you, chances are you're not really interested in me as the way that I feel that you should be. So I come across that. I also come across women who, um, if you can say, were a little more bougie. We would go out and and it's almost as though I would have to be the one that would have to loosen the mood. I would have to be the one that had to like crack the jokes to show my personality, while she, on the other hand, would just kind of just keep this straight face the whole time and gotta be super serious. Like I don't know what's the issue as far as you letting loose and having fun every now and then. But I've come across women that are like that inside of the church to where we could even develop any type of chemistry because they were so guarded. They had their walls up so much to where they don't want us to see another side of them. So that kind of goes into the whole thing where, well, she must not be that interested because her personality, I would see a different side of her personality if she was interested in me. I remember I went out with a young lady that I was interested in who at first shown interest in me. So I took it upon myself, to exchange numbers and, we went out to have breakfast, had a great time. And come to find out that, and I'm sure this happened to some of y'all fellas, to where y'all had a good time on your first date or whatever, and asked her to go out again, and it seemed to be an excuse, and she seems to kind of like get out. She seems to kind of like disappear, and then the next time you see her, she's with another guy that's completely different from you. That's the complete opposite. You're somebody that's trying to develop your relationship with Christ. That's developing yourself personally and spiritually, and she's with somebody where it looked like she just looked like the dude is just straight from the streets. So you going, what type of guys is she really attracted to? So I'm sure that some of y'all may have had a similar experience to that effect. The last experience that I want to share would be one experience in particular where I was interested in a woman who was a little older than I was. She was maybe about 6 years older than I was, and I was cool with that because I thought she was very attractive. I liked the personality. We was going out for about 5 months, and I don't know what clicked in her mind, but I I want to say that I had expressed how I felt about her and wanted to be exclusive with her. But according to her, I guess that conversation or that discussion wasn't made clear. And but she kind of saw us as friends. And so when the rubber finally meets the road, because we didn't got to the point where I was introduced to her mom, I introduced her to my dad, to my family and things like that. I was thinking that things are progressing to more of an exclusive relationship that'll lead to marriage. And her mind, she thought we were just friends hanging out. And so that was a huge, huge blow for me because it's like, well, I hate the fact that I had to waste 5 months, 6 months just to figure this out. That you wasn't really interested in me that anyway. And come to find out, she shared how she was in, I guess, in a previous relationship that was heading towards marriage, but some things didn't work out. And then the next thing you know, her family got into it with his family. And so it was just a huge mess. And so I think that that had affected her in one way or another to where she kind of had that guard up where it was hard for anybody to get in. Even though she admittedly admitted saying that, oh, well, I'm open to dating, I'm open to getting to know people. And it was one of those things which was so strange because she said that after getting to know you, Omar, I see that you're the total package. And but at the same time, I don't want you. So I wonder if that happened to any of y'all, where a woman will say that you everything that a woman would want, but I specifically don't want you. So that just so I just want to close out my video with that. The next video that I'm gonna follow up and make is going to be based on one of the topics that I covered in one of the single seminars that I've been to. All right, so be on the lookout for that video, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.